Welcome viewers and listeners, because some people are on audio only. This is another episode of Date Like a French Woman with Muriel Felous, your relationship coach. And lately I call myself more like self-love coach because I think it really fits with what I teach. Today I have a lady that I know personally, a local lady, and I love what she does. Her name is Alicia Mejia. And I hope I'm not butchering that. I think I'm saying it.
No, you're not.
I'm good. Romantic visionary, lead inspirationist, and TEDx speaker, Alicia believes in love for a living. When not putting love on the map with her project, The Worldwide Love Story, Alicia spends her day at local indies coffee shop, writing magnetic copies for purpose-driven entrepreneurs like me, and the tribe who loves them but don't know it yet. If you need her, she's going to tell you later on how to contact her. And I'm really delighted to have her here. So good morning, Alicia. Alicia, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to see you.
I am too. And of course, I know our audience is going to be super curious, as I am, to ask you, how did you start that Worldwide Love Story website? Because it's really a beautiful concept.
Oh, thank you. I'm always so touched when people think that it's a fantastic idea. I actually started the Worldwide Love Story. It was a beautiful project that was a result of I would like to call it a horrific breakup. It was the worst breakup of my life. So it was the result of heartache. They say that you don't make a change until you're at your rock bottom.
Yes.
And when it came to love, I hit rock bottom. Like my heart was broken. And interestingly enough, I was actually working in the wedding industry at the time, and I had the opportunity to stand on the sidelines with a camera in my hand, either a photography camera or a video camera, whichever job I was sent out on at the time. And so I had this beautiful opportunity to stand on the sidelines, and I kept seeing all these people, and I thought to myself, you know what, how come you figured it out? Like, how come you can figure it out and I don't know what's going on? And so that's where it came from, just this inspiration of seeing it work for all these people, and then me going, wow, maybe if I actually started to talk to these people, I could figure out what worked for them and then apply it to my own life. And then, of course, I can't just use it for myself. I wanted to share it with everyone. So that was the birth of the Worldwide Love Story.
And I think a lot of us here can relate to the breakup that became the thing that actually propelled you toward your purpose. And doing what you do actually inspires others to know and to have the hope that it's possible. Because if other people do it, my audience are women mostly, if they find a good guy, there are other good guys out there. And it really opened the door to hope. And that's wonderful. That's why I really wanted to interview you and pick your brain on what you've seen and the experience of people. So as far as working in the wedding industry, I always ask myself, I was married, but first of all, I married in another country, so it's a little bit different. Is it really what we see sometimes in reality shows? Are people so stressed and sometimes the worst of them is coming out? Or is it just something to make an audience, the drama of it that they put on TV?
That is a fantastic question. And as your listeners may know, you and I both live in Las Vegas, right? So we live and have the grace of higher powers to be living in the wedding capital of, I believe, of the world, definitely of the United States, but quite possibly of the world. And so I have seen weddings that have gone anywhere from, 1 and 2 person, very intimate ceremonies, all the way up to what I would call like almost an obscene display of wealth and nothing more. So yes, there are the reality show things where people are only doing it for what I would say are the wrong reasons, for show, for demonstration, for for pictures, if nothing else, right? But there are also those ceremonies that have really just completely touched my soul and restored my faith in love. So I think it completely runs the gamut. But I would say that probably, I think I got really lucky too. So I would say probably 95% of the brides that I worked with, they really loved the person that they were with, and grooms too. I mean, we've done, same-sex marriages, love wins, all that great stuff. So yeah, we've had some couples that are definitely their hearts were in the right place.
And you interview people, and you have criteria, right, for the people that you interview as far as couples and relationships.
I do. I can't say I do without smiling, but yes, I do. And I do. My criteria for the people that I, right, hashtag love jokes. So no, the criteria that I have for the people that I interview is that I am a huge proponent of, I want to talk to people who have been through, can I swear?
Yes.
I want to interview some people who have been through some shit and still decided to stay together. Like this came about, a lot of it came about because I was in the wedding industry for so long, and I would see people like at the outset of things. And personally, for a long time, like I couldn't really give two shits if people actually got married. That was not the part that I was curious about. What I was curious about was, what was it about the other person that attracted them to each other in the first place? What was it that made it stick? And not only that, I look for people who are further down the line, who have been through something and still chose each other. Those are the criteria that I have. Whether or not you're married, great, that's icing on the cake if you decided to take that extra step, but it's not a deal breaker for me if you haven't been married to interview you. Because I think that if we highlight the stories of what's worked for those people, then maybe it will give some hope or some inspiration, or give those of us who haven't figured it out yet some ideas. And it's like anything, you know what I mean? Take what you want, leave the rest. But I think if we give each other positive examples of what's worked, then maybe, I mean, could you imagine if you were in love and your story inspired somebody else to give love a chance? Or, I mean, I've heard some of the most fantastic stories. And I don't know. I mean, this one woman, she actually tripped and fell, and this man caught her, and they ended up getting married. So I mean, it can happen. It can happen.
I know someone like this who she was in Toastmasters, and she was reading her thing, and she bumped into a guy, and now married and happy. So, I mean, those are beautiful stories. Yeah, they're great stories, and they're curious stories to me as well, because I go, it all starts with a spark, and I'm very curious about what that spark is. Like, what was it about her that caught your eye, or about him, or just the other person in general? But I've even had where people have met each other for the first time and absolutely could not stand each other. And then for whatever reason, the next time they saw each other, I swear, they just had a baby, this couple, actually, and this was a few years ago. But yeah, and then the second time they saw each other, something flipped, and then they were all like, oh, saw each other under new eyes, and the rest was history. They were history. So yeah, you just never know. You don't. And I always tell people, my belief is that there is a kind of wisdom in life. And when you talk about people not liking each other and ending up together, we draw to us the exact person that we need to go up to the next level. That means they're going to trigger us, they're going to show us our shadow side. And sometimes it can be brutal, but it's also an opportunity for healing, deep healing. And there is nothing like relationships to really put your own crap in your own face. Really be it good or bad. There's good crap, but yeah. No, I hear you. I totally hear you. What? Yeah, I do. I do believe that, and it's all different stages in life and different people, and it's, reason, a season, or a lifetime. I mean, sometimes people are meant to be together forever, and sometimes they're not. And I think that if we know that there may be love after love, we'll be perhaps more inclined to gracefully let go that which wasn't meant for us any longer, or that which had served its purpose for the certain amount of time. And not like there's a period at the end of the sentence. And we take from that what we learned and use that to level up, I guess you would say, right? To borrow your language, level up to the next
to the next relationship next time, to do better and to be better. I love what you said at the beginning about that you became a self-love coach, because I firmly believe, like, after that breakup, I did a lot of really uncomfortable self-worth work, or whatever you would want to call it, right? Introspective work, because one of the things I realized is that all the common denominators, or the common denominator, right, in all my previously failed relationships was me. Yeah. So let's figure this out. What patterns am I responsible for? Because it's not always the other person's fault. So
it's always a share. It's like tango,
yeah.
you dance. And
I love that.
Usually it's the same kind of core wound, but like, like a coin, it's the other side of the coin. Like the overgiver is going to attract the narcissistic, self-absorbed person, but both cannot see their value. It's the same problem. Yeah. So they complete each other. And that's why we fall so much. I don't call it love, because now I think that it's emotional addiction. But and we don't fit with a balanced person because we still have something to heal, which is why I believe that we have several soulmates, and some soulmates are meant to kick our butt, to show us where we need to change to fit with the balanced person that's going to come later.
Yeah, that falls perfectly well, because I would say, like, my ex now, the one that I would call the catalyst for this whole thing, like, he was in my life for a reason, and I for him, I would imagine. However, I could see that his purpose and would be to teach me and to kick my butt. Oh my God. Yeah. And I'm grateful. Like, in the end, I feel like when you can take responsibility for what you brought to the table, then you can come from a place of gratitude for the other person, even if their purpose or whatnot was to come and reflect back to you something you might not be so inclined to want to look at the eye in the mirror,
Yeah. And at the same time, have compassion for ourselves, because we don't do it consciously. It's something that's behind the curtain. So I know for myself, and I say it all the time because I'm here to teach, and I use my own experience. I was my first client. A relationship that really, really, really was a catalyst for me to growth was one where I was literally in toxic emotional addiction. And I knew it, but there was something in me that was still pushing me toward that person, even though the other part of me was like, what are you doing, girl? I was still going. And then there was so much shame surrounding all. And that's why once you go to the next level, you can be like the people you interview, which I imagine when you have a long-term relationship that's beautiful, you're somehow healed or balanced. Isn't it what you notice? And
I think so. I think that one of the beautiful things about a number of the people whose stories really resonated with me was that they were each other's friends, and they would also, for lack of a better way to put it, not let each other get away with anything. So that would mean to me that they wouldn't be what I would call polite, right? So if you do something that is upsetting me or I think is bullshit, I would call you on it. And that's what I noticed in these relationships, that they were almost like their own system of checks and balances for each other, but it was also in a healthy way, right? So it was supportive with the mutual, what would I say?
Emotional maturity.
Yeah, of both. Like, they both wanted each other to be the best versions of themselves, and that's the litmus test they would use if they felt that one of the people wasn't living up to their full potential or awesomeness or whatever.
So in your opinion, is communication the secret to long-lasting relationships, most of it, or?
I feel like that's a trick question. I don't feel like there are secrets necessarily, but yeah, I think definitely the people that I have seen that have been successful or are in that place where both people feel like they're getting the better end of the deal in the relationship, where they both feel like, God, I am so lucky to have you, like come from that sense of gratitude and appreciation still, right? Even after however many years that they've been together. I think that there's definitely communication is a big piece of that. It can't not be, but I feel like rather than a secret or like one formula, I feel like it's a holistic
So it's,
pie, if you will. Like if you look down, there are so many components to it, and if one of those things is missing, and it's let's use an analogy of the wheel. If your wheel is whole and it's spinning as it's supposed to, then fantastic. But if communication is off, that wheel is going to start to wobble, and the faster you go, the more pronounced that wobble is going to be.
yeah. And so did you interview people from a very broad range of ages and backgrounds, or?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's called the worldwide love story. So to me, like, I don't want cookie cutter, what I would call like the Stepford Wives kind of thing. I want people who have diversity and flavor in their story and experiences that are different from us, because I feel like those are the people that we're going to learn from the most. So yeah, I've interviewed couples that, well, let me clarify, when I was in the wedding industry, I was still talking to couples who were on the verge of getting married. So they were what I would call in the new phase. So they were very, very, young. Either their parents were paying for the wedding but they were young and they were just getting started out. Learned a lot from them as well. But now that I've made a conscientious forward-facing decision to collect and curate these stories, then I look for people who are a wide range of all economic backgrounds, everything. My criteria, my bottom line is love. If you love each other, you've been through some stuff, then yeah, absolutely, I would love to talk to you. So yeah, all walks of life. And yeah, and I should specify too that I'm also interested in talking to people who have loved and lost, because I feel like widows and widowers, like how does that expression go? When an old man dies, the library burns to the ground. There's some love stories that I think that need to be preserved. And this is a way of honoring those who have loved and lost as well. So if you have your grandmother or your aunt or whatever that needs, and I think it's healthy to talk about it. Like let's honor those people. So.
It is. So maybe I have someone that would be interested in telling you her story, because it was the love of her life and he passed. And it's a beautiful story.
Yes.
It's,
Absolutely. I feel like we need to give these stories the respect that they deserve, and let's preserve them, because they mean something.
so you interviewed people from all kinds of backgrounds and places, I suspect. Do you find something universal? Are there keys or some kind of components that you find in every couple?
Wow, that is a wonderful question, and it feels like the $1 million question. If I were to look for one common denominator in everyone, it would be an expression of love in whatever form that takes for them. So for some people, it could be like this overwhelming sense of gratitude. I feel like, I think what happens for me and what I've seen, and this is what I think is fascinating. So I always ask people the same 5 questions, right? And sometimes our conversations will last 20 minutes. Sometimes they'll last an hour and a half. Sometimes we're bawling our eyes out. Sometimes we're laughing our guts out. So we run like the whole gamut of emotions. But the one question that I always ask them as well is, where were you standing when you realized that you loved the other person? And in my experience so far, no 2 answers have ever been the same. It never dawned on both of them at the same time, which I find curious. And second of all, I would call it like the knowingness. Does that make any sense? Like they just knew. And from that point forward, because when I ask them, if you read body language at all, they will project back to that time. And it's almost like I can watch this piece fall over them, because it's like they're traveling back in time. I'm going to start crying right now. It's almost like they travel back in time to that moment. And then they go back to that sense of gratitude. And I feel like that's the thing that they carry with them, that they know that it's like, this is their person. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's beautiful too. Okay. It's really beautiful. do you notice a difference between how men talk about love and women talk about love? Because I recently, I interviewed a couple of friends of mine who have been married for 32 years or even more than that. And you can still see the love between them. But the way she talks about it is very masculine. She's very much into her feminine. And it's like, well, he doesn't really analyze anything. He just knows it's, well, my life is better with her, and end of the story. That's why I want to be with her. And she's she's seeing in a much more feminine, like, you know, like this approach where there are this piece and that piece. And do you notice that as a common thread or not?
That is an excellent question, for one. And for two, I have, but it's not, I wouldn't call it masculine or feminine as it pertains to like women or men. I would just say that some women are very masculine in their response, and then some men are perhaps more feminine in their response. So some women that are like, oh, well, I love him because this is what he does for me, and I have a secure life, and he's a good provider, and that's it. Where it seemed like almost like a caveman response, like they drug him out of the cave and they were like, yep, he brings me home, whatever. Something to cook at the end of the night, and I'm good, you know. But then I have other men that are like, you know, she speaks to my heart and she opens up my soul, and they get very lyrical and poetic, and what we would associate with, I guess, as being more on what I would call like the divinely feminine side. But yeah, it's not a cut and dry, clear, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing by any means, in my experience anyways.
So I'm sorry if that's another $1 million question.
Okay.
When you see in a story that the woman is more feminine, do you notice that the guy is more masculine, and vice versa? When the man is a little bit in his feminine energy, do you see that the woman is more masculine, so there is balance, or it has nothing to do with it? Because I would think that to have a balance, they each are in a different energy, but maybe it's just a moment.
You asked some really, really good questions, I'll tell you that. So, okay, let me think. There are some like specific cases. I'm not like a huge fan of like broad generalizations. I can think of some very specific cases, like one particular couple in mind right now where in my mind, like the roles were reversed. She was the income breadwinner, you know, he was the stay-at-home role, if you will. And then, yeah, those roles were definitely reversed, but it's not. And so for them, it worked and it was balanced. But on the whole, I feel like what I've seen are people, wow, that is a good question. I think they were the exception to the rule, though.
In what way? Because I know for myself, I'm apparently very much into my feminine, and that disturbs me to not be in my feminine, and if I don't have a man who is in his masculine, then it takes away from me the love that I have to be in my feminine. And that was one of the problems in my marriage, actually. But not everybody's like me, and I know you find what fits, like a pot and a cover. So when you say it was the exception, in what way? Was it the exception that he was feminine and she was masculine, or some other kind of scenario that is an exception?
No, they were the exception in that their roles were, like the traditional roles, if you were so obviously and distinctly flipped, definitely. But to your point earlier, I completely understand what you mean. I feel like how do I say this without, I'll just go ahead and say it. I feel like a lot of times I feel like things have gone full circle, right? Like to a certain extent, yes, women wanted to step out of our feminine roles. We wanted to, you know, take home the bacon fried up in a pan, do that whole thing. And I get that. And I respect that. And I identified with that for a long time. But I also feel like right now, it seems like a trust balance in a way, if that makes sense. Like if we are going to step into our divine feminine, then it's because we found someone that we can trust. that will hold up the masculine side of the deal. And I think where we, especially women that were brought up in that generation where we had these mothers that, you know, went through so much, you know, to get equal rights and equal pay and do all these sorts of things, that we may have almost, the pendulum is, went to an extreme, and we're starting to come back to the center again is what it feels like to me, honestly. And I feel like I'm in one of those generations that's kind of a little discombobulated as a result, and I'm on that tail end that kind of is swinging back to the center again. So to your point, yes, and I get it. And I think that when we find someone that we can trust to hold up the feminine side, then we won't be so confused, because I think that's where, and it sounds like you got yourself, I don't want to say into trouble this way as well, but it's like, if we're going to wear the pants plus the skirt, like it's, you know, metaphorically speaking,
It's too much.
it's confusing to the person that we're with as well, right? And that's, I mean, I've heard that on more than one occasion. Alicia, you need to let the man be the man. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how that worked. I'm learning now, though, and I'm getting it. But again, it's still a trust exercise.
What I find is when I coach women who are business women who live their life, I understand we need both. In the world, we need the masculine energy, even if we're women.
Absolutely.
The problem is that they don't know how to leave it at the door when they go home. And then they find true masculine energy, and it's a clash. Because you are with somebody who's masculine. Now, if you are with somebody who's feminine, and that taking on the role of the masculine is somehow forced on you because you want to succeed in the world, then it disturbs you, because you want to be feminine in your love life. And it's very...
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's a lot of I think of things in terms of energy and sound a lot, right? So I think if you have this woman that has to go into a corporate world, and then I think I'm not a fan of having to switch things on and switch things off. So I think if you can find more of like this natural ebb and flow, that we will get ourselves into less trouble. So the fact that you would have to work in an extremely masculine environment, or be more masculine when you get to work, and then suddenly flip when you get home, I feel like there's an alignment that's out of place there. And if you can find a way to do that where it's more graceful and there's a waxing and a waning, probably have it work for you. But I think if you are in that situation and it's a black and white, it's either on or off situation, you're going to run into trouble over a period of time. It's like that wheel that's unbalanced. It might be okay at a certain speed, but you try to take that thing up a mountain, you're going to have a problem.
Okay. I'm going to have to reflect on that. Now you posed something, a question in my mind that I'm going to have to reflect on. Thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll have follow-up questions after the break.
So what did you personally gain from doing that? What did it bring you on your soul level, on a heart level, to do this kind of work, of quest, of project?
Boy, you ask good questions, Marielle. Okay, so what I gained from this,
I'm very excited.
though.
Sorry.
Yeah, right? No, I think what I gained the most from this was like my own personal healing. Like they say you want to surround yourself with the 5 people that you want to be with. Because I felt so depleted and my heart was so broken and I didn't know what to do or where to turn. I'm even going to start crying right now. That when I surrounded myself with people who were in love, loved, had been in love, all those sorts of things, it was almost like, wow. Looking back, I would call it like a float tank. I put myself in a float tank of love and just sort of let myself sit there for a second and feel the weightlessness of it, right? And till my heart was like, okay, you can do this again. You can breathe. You're going to be all right. Like, it's possible. And I think that a lot of times I have this mentor, you know, Tiger, right? Tiger Todd with Hero School. Fantastic guy. And he's like, you know, if you want to take the attention off yourself or not make it about you, put yourself in service of others. So I thought, okay, here I am. And I've gathered all these wonderful stories from all these people. This can't just be for me. This is bigger than me. Let's do the ripple effect of love and send it out, and let's have everybody, like, if this is good for me, it has to be good for the next person, for the next person, for the next person. And then you think about being part of that larger
oneness.
Flower of life, if you will, right? Since I'm tired of using the wheel analogy, let's make it a flower of life analogy. If you're part of that, you know, petal in this larger flower, then why would you not do that? So I would say, what has it brought for me? It's brought me healing. It's brought me a complete sense of purpose, because I was never one of those people that knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, right? You always have those friends that are like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. And I was just like, well, no. You know, I have things that I'm great at and I love doing that bring me joy, but not like, if money were of no concern and I could travel the world and just do this, I'd be gone. Bye. We'd be having this interview from somewhere in Bali or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Make a deal that next time we do an interview, we're both going to be in Bali together.
Okay. I love the pinky swear. Put your pinky up. Let's do it. Pinky swear.
Let's put that in the universe.
All right. I got it.
So my favorite questions are about self-love, because I really, that's the pillar of how I work with myself and how I work with other people.
Yeah.
But most of the time, actually a lot of times, people don't even know how to define self-love for themselves, because it can be very broad. So I always ask my guests their own definition of self-love, so that it can help others to come up with theirs. So what is self-love for you?
That is a fantastic question as well. Okay, so to me, self-love is when you look at every possible area of your life and you look back at yourself in the mirror and you go, wow, good job, or I love my life, or I love you. I did this exercise not too long ago where I actually stood in the mirror and made eye contact with myself and just said, I love you, I love you, I love you. I had not done that, and I cannot tell you how long. But when you make eye contact with yourself, and yeah, I was a hot mess, like crying. I felt like I hadn't seen myself in ages, and it was a beautiful thing. But when you get to that point, I think, where you love yourself on the inside and you feel it, and then you also can say that you love yourself on the outside, it's like that balance and alignment at the same time. I also think that there are some people that belong to the school of thought that, like, they're finding their better half, or that whole Jerry Maguire, you complete me, whatever. And I subscribe to the school of thought that we are whole and that we should complement and elevate, and the power of two should be like exponentially better than the two of us either apart or whatever. So that's the other thing as well. I feel like when you get to the point that you are content and happy by yourself, then it's a good time to go out and start looking for somebody else. But if I would have jumped, like I call it lily padding, if I would have lily padded from one shitty relationship to the next, I'm not doing anybody any favors. And I'm impeding somebody else from getting like a full, whole person and the love that they deserve as well. It's like it's a public service sometimes to take yourself off the market. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Actually, that exercise that you mentioned, the mirror affirmation. I always work with mirror affirmations with everybody that I coached. And I tried that with my own mother. And she could not do it. She was laughing, and I was like, laugh is also a negation of what you just did. Most people, including myself, when I started with that, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you, Muriel. I had to soften the affirmation so that my subconscious wouldn't be like, that's bullshit.
Yes.
I softened it by, I'm learning to love you. And then it went in until one day I was able to really say it and look in my eyes like the beloved.
Yes. How powerful is that, right?
Very powerful. And as far as taking yourself out of the market, I think I'm totally against the Hollywood version of love. It is making so much damage. That idea that you complete me and then they live happily ever after, especially how it's portrayed in the movie, like the people do the craziest thing, they disrespect each other, all the red flags, and suddenly at the end they are together and happy. That's misleading. And for me, I see I'm the cake And if the cake needs to be whole, and then the icing on the cake is going to come. But I need to already have the cake, because if you don't love yourself, you know that cliche, like if you don't love yourself, nobody can love you. You will not let them. You will be suspicious. Like, why you must want something, because you're not yourself. You're lovable.
Did you ever see Wayne's World? Remember Wayne's World when they're like, we're not worthy. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. And I think that you'll do things subconsciously or not to sabotage yourself.
Oh, you'll pick
I've been guilty.
For sure. There are so many brain level and energy level for that.
Yeah.
What are your practices of self-love? What are the things you do in your life to love yourself?
These are my favorite things. So I said before, I'm like a huge proponent of things being energy and sound and whatnot. I also am a huge fan of incorporating the 4 elements into whatever it is that I like to do. So I like to be where there is water and rain, and now I'm going to draw a blank on them. What are the elements? Wind, and be grounded, like all incorporated into my thing. So I like to be mindful of those things and appreciate the wind. And so sometimes self-love to me can be something as seemingly mundane as leaving the hair with my house completely wet, leaving the house with my hair completely wet. Good heavens. Rolling the windows down in the car, the sunroof back, and then just I call it Mother Nature is my hairdryer. And that to me brings me a lot of joy. Yeah. Every morning I have this special place at the park where I like to go, and I set up my little portable altar, and I do my, lay out my stones, and I pull my cards, and I think, and I write, and I'm there for, I don't know, sometimes I'm there for a half hour, sometimes I'm there for 2. And then whatever comes to me at that time, like maybe even just, was it yesterday? Today? No, it was this morning. I was like, you know what? You never really gave the chakras any thought. So I just sat there and went through and read up more on the different chakras, because it felt like it was time. So I think those are some of the sorts of things as well. Are you familiar with that story about Picasso, where Picasso's neighbor was he had a nosy neighbor. And so he would poke his head over the fence, and he'd be like, Picasso, what are you doing? Is it Picasso? Renoir? I don't remember. Anyways, a famous painter. He would poke his head over the wall between the gardens that they shared. And then the neighbor would say, well, he would see, let's say Picasso for argument's sake, that Picasso was laying on the lounge in his garden. And he would say, oh, I see you're just laying around again or whatever. And Picasso would be like, no, actually I'm working right now. And then the next day the nosy neighbor would poke his head over, and he'd say, what, are you working right now? Because he'd be painting furiously in the backyard. And he would say, no, actually I'm relaxing. So I've used that story a lot to flip my mindset when it comes to there, because there's a lot of things that bring me joy. I love Instagram. It's my creative expression. I love it. And I'm serious. I will stop traffic damn near to get a shot of something that I like, and it brings me joy. And so those are the things where I would in the past say, oh, well, you don't have time for this, stupid, this is silly. And now I'm like, no, this is important to me. This is me resting, right? So that I'm a better person when I go back to do the other things. So it's those sorts of things. I just got back from Burning Man not long ago, and I had all these, what's that?
How was it?
Oh, it was life-changingly beautiful. And it was a trip that was so full of synchronicities. I cried at least 3 times every day from all the beautiful synchronicities and the people that I met and how open they were. And yeah, I gave you one of my necklaces? Oh, I haven't seen you since I made all these necklaces. Yeah, these were my gifts of love for the Worldwide Love Story, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so it's the Worldwide Love Story in the front. It's so full of symbolism. Plus, I'll send it to you. Anyways, I have one for you here, right? I'm all like, oh. Anyways, I'll explain it to you. But it was just fantastic necklaces, these gifts, and I used them as divining rods when I was at Burning Man. And I just waited for people, and I thought, if they feel like good people, I will go up to you and I will present you with the gift. And if I feel like you want to hear the story behind it, I'll tell you the symbolism. And if not, these are just gifts. And these are my little messengers of love. And that, again, someone could have said that was ridiculous. I just made 400 pieces of jewelry to give away. I could see that someone would say that's a stupid waste of time. It wasn't. And to me, it mattered. And I did it. So that to me was self-love.
And it's self-love, but it's also love. And I believe that I don't know if you've heard me say, because I say it quite often, that energy is like an elevator, and you stopped at the floor at which you vibrate. So when you want love in your life, vibrate at the level of love. And this is love. You're giving some love to a stranger. Love can come in many forms. Strangers, pets, beauty, like when you see, my kids always make fun of me because when we drive, I'm like, guys, look at this. It's so beautiful. It's a gift from God. And they're like, yeah, Mom, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
This is
Totally.
love. This is love in different forms. So what you did is also love. And you are a lover. By definition.
I am a lover. That is
Yeah.
highly accurate. Thank you. Yeah. I will take that. Accept that I own that. Thank you.
So before we part, if there was one thing that you really, really wanted to transmit to the audience, what would you tell them? An advice, an aha moment, whatever you want to let them know.
I would say the one thing that I would want people to know more than anything is that, especially if you have loved and lost, or your heart has been broken, that love exists. And was it Maya Angelou that said, always try, always love one more time? I should know that quote. But yeah, I would just say, it's out there. Just keep trying. Just keep trying. I feel like, my advice would be remain open.
That's beautiful. If people want to find out about you, because you do other things, you do copywriting, I'm sure inspired. Yes. Is it inspired from love or?
Oh, absolutely. The copywriting is from a place of love. Absolutely. Yeah. I believe that words, I like to say that words are spells, or words are wands, right? And so we want to cast the right spell, and we want to, use words that accurately reflect who we are. I was just having a conversation earlier today that words to me, again, are like sound. They're like notes, that we need to hold a note, and it needs to resonate for long enough so that it reaches our tribe, and then our tribe, one, can hear it, and two, it will dawn on them that they want to find us, and three, that we hold it long enough so that they know where to find us when they are ready. So yeah, absolutely. Words are definitely a love for me. And so are, as you know, being a member of MASH, so are purpose-driven entrepreneurs. So if I can use something that it comes naturally to me to help you further your thing, and again, it goes back to, I think, like that elevator that you were referring to before, right? We all want to get off on a higher floor or whatever.
Yeah.
Right now I'm on the 17th floor. I think I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's definitely it. So to that end, if people want to get a hold of me, of course you can reach me anywhere on social media. My handle is RomanceCEO. That's RomanceCEO. You can find me at worldwidelovestory.com. If you want to participate, if you want to contribute your story, if you want to be interviewed, that sort of thing, you can reach me there for that. If you would like me to work word ninja magic, compliments of my friend Cindy over here, on your copy, and we'll start, attracting people that are your tribe, then by all means, you can get a hold of me at copyclarity.com. Or you can find me on Facebook under Alicia Mejia. So,
and I'll put all this in the description of the podcast. I want to thank you for accepting to do this interview. That was really, really a pleasure, and I don't know, that was deep, and the energy of it was definitely here. So thank you so much.
Yay.
I know it's going to serve you as well. And people, go see her website. It will give you hope that you too can find the love you want, because it's there for everyone. Yeah. Thank you, yeah, and we will come across each other at one point. We've been busy, but
absolutely. Yeah, no, thanks for having me, and group hug, and no, I appreciate all the work that you're doing, and together we both believe in love for a living. So thank you for all the work you do. Let's heal hearts and heal the world.
Absolutely. That's the key for happiness, I believe, for peace in the world.
Amen.
So bye guys. I'll see you in the next episode. And as usual, if you have questions, comments, reach me at datelikeafrenchwoman.com, on Facebook, or on my website, because I have a new club coming up, Date Like a French Woman Club, where You will receive a coaching call for free every month, and you'll be part of a community. So don't hesitate. Go visit my website. I'm there for you. Bye.
If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. And for questions, information, or to book a free 30-minute introductory coaching session, please visit datelikeafrenchwoman.com.